Hello and welcome everyone to my maths channel. Hope you guys are doing well there. Welcome once again. Today in this video we want to look at the quadratic functions. So without wasting any of your precious time, let's go straight into the example. I do have the example on the board which says we are given the following: f of x is equal to 4 minus x squared. Have yet another function, g of x is equal to x squared plus 6, and hx is equal to 3x squared. These three are actually functions which we are going to represent on the Cartesian plane. So there we go. We do have our Cartesian plane, and we said our Cartesian plane is these two axes intersecting. Now, we need to place these functions on this Cartesian plane, or rather to sketch the graphs. So we're going to sketch the graph of, first we're going to sketch the graph of f of x is equal to 4 minus x squared. As you can see, this one is a minus x squared. And what did we say about the x squared? Okay, allow me to start by doing this graph here first, because I want to take it in stages. I want to start by talking about the mother graph. Last time we looked at our functions, we talked about the mother graph of the quadratic function. We call it a quadratic function because of the x squared. So the graph, it goes like this, That's a mother graph here. And the 3 here, it says that we are multiplying this function by 3 so that it affects the graph and draws it towards the y-axis. So we can start by saying drawing the graph of y is equal to x squared, this is h, x is equal to 3x squared. That's our first function, and we move on to the next function, which is x squared plus 6. X squared plus 6. Remember what this plus 6 means. It means it is the y-intercept, and also it means once said we can have y is equal to ax plus q. This is how also we can write the value of q shifts the graph up or down, So this is our graph being shifted 6 units up. So it means somewhere here I do have a 6 here. It means I'm going to have a graph like that, and we are going to call this graph gx is equal to x squared plus 6. And finally, we're going to have this one here, f of x. What does f of x say? We have 4 minus x squared. The minus here, it means that the graph is a sad graph. We talked about when x is x squared with a positive value here, our graph is going to be a smiling face. But when it's a negative here, like this, when our graph is a coefficient which is negative, our graph is going to be having a sad face. It means it's going to be angry, like that. So it means our graph, if we come here to draw a mother graph like this, our graph is going to be, this is the graph of minus x squared. But we do have a 4 here, which means we're going to take this graph 4 units upwards. So I presume my 4 is somewhere here. So this graph shifts is going to be somewhere here. So we're going to name this graph fx is equal to 4 minus x squared. Now, this is basically the functions or the graphs that are representing these equations. So now let's move on to the questions. The questions say determine the coordinates of A, B, C. But let's read the instructions. Say F cuts the y-axis at C, A, C, D. F here cuts the x-axis at A, C, D. It cuts the x-axis here and there. Just allow me to check which of the letters are appropriate there. Okay, once again, that's correct. We're saying the graph cuts the axis. When we say axis, we're talking about both the y-axis and x-axis. So that's why we say axis. It means we're talking about the x-axis and the y-axis. So it cuts the graph at A, C, and D, which means the x-axis is going to be cut at A and D, and then the y-axis is going to be cut at point C. Now, it says determine, the question one says determine coordinates of A, B, C, and D. The coordinates of A, B, C. Okay, so once again, I have adjusted this to say we have point A, B, C, D. So this question says determine the coordinates of A, B, C, and D. If we look at A and B, we want to find the coordinates of this point. So let's start by looking at this point here, or let's start by looking at A, or rather let's start by looking at B, what B is. The B, for us to find B, we are going to look at this equation, g of x is equal to x squared plus 6. Let's substitute this one and let's make it a y is equal to x squared plus 6. Now, at this point here, this line here, we have a 0 in terms of moving our x either to the right or to the left. So we have 0, 1, 2, and so on. So the value of x here is 0. So when x is equal to 0, at this point of x, we want to find what y is. So we can substitute into that equation. Y is equal to, we put 0 in that place, which is 0 squared plus 6. So y is equal to 0 squared plus 6 is 6. So it means therefore that coordinates of point B, this point here, we said when x is equal to 0, our y is going to be 6. So those are the coordinates of our point B. We can also, let me see if you guys can, okay, looks like we can use that space. Now let's go ahead and find the coordinates of point A. Coordinates of A. The A is lying on this function here, and this function here is actually f of x. So fx is equal to 4 minus x squared. We can substitute this one and change it to a y is equal to 4 minus x squared. Now, if we start by looking at this coordinate, once again, the value of x here is 0. So when x is equal to 0, substitute what y is going to be. So y is going to be 4 minus, we said x is equal to 0 here, that becomes x squared, 0 squared. So y is equal to 4 minus 0. 4 minus 0 is 0. So in other words, we mean to say that we have, when x is equal to 0, the coordinates of B are 0 for x and 4 for y. That is the coordinates of point A. We still want to go ahead and find coordinates of C and D. So coordinates of C and D, this is where our C is, this is where our D is, and we find that these coordinates, they lie on this function, and the name of this function is f of x is equal to 4 minus x squared once again. So let's say coordinates of C, coordinates of D, what equation are we going to use? We're going to use function of x is equal to 4 minus x squared. Now, there's something that we need to discuss here. On this line, which is the vertical y-axis, the coordinates are lying here. It means we have 0, and as we increase up there, the values are increasing 1, 2, 3, 4, but as they decrease 3, 2, 1, and 0. So on this line here we have 0, so it means the value of y is equal to 0. So when we change this one to a y, we have 4 is equal to y is equal to 4 minus x squared. And we are saying on this line here, the values of y are 0. So when y is equal to 0, we are going to find the coordinates of y, of x. So it means in this equation, we substitute there with a 0. We have 0 is equal to 4 minus x squared. And for the sake of working, we can take this one to this side, which is 4 minus x squared is equal to 0. Okay, this is actually a difference of 2 squares. With this one, x squared, you can put your x here, and you can square root of 4 is 2 there, and these two brackets are 4 and a minus, all that is equal to 0. So either your 2 plus x is equal to 0, or your 2 minus x is equal to 0. And I hope I do have some space here where you guys can see me. So if we take this x plus 2 is equal to 0, this is going to give us x is equal to, I'll take this negative 2 to the other side of the equation, it becomes a minus 2. Or I'll look at here, which here I have 2 minus x is equal to 0. So here I'll take this x to the other side of the equation. So I have 2 is equal to positive x. So these the values for x are actually a 2, a positive 2, and a negative 2. So what does that mean? It means here, obviously, I'm on the left-hand side, so I'm going to say this is a minus 2. So the value of point C is a minus 2 and a 0. What do I mean by that? This is representing the x-axis and 0 is representing the y-axis. And coming over here, we're looking at point D. Point D is a positive. We got it, and x is equal to 2, and the value of y is equal to 0. So that is it with regards to question 1, which says determine the coordinates of A, B, C, D. In other words, our C is going to be minus 2 and 0, and our D is equal to 2 and 0. So that is it for this video. We have managed to find the coordinates of A, B, C, D. Our A is, where is our A? I think we have written it here, A is 0 and 4, and our B is 0 and 6. Our C, there's our C and our D. That's all we have in this video. I hope you guys liked this video. If you like it or it's helping you in any way, please show some love, and we appreciate those who are subscribing, as this channel depends on your support. Cheers. See you guys in the next video. Bye. Stay tuned.